Has Lies of P mastered how to make a perfect Souls-like boss? Hey everyone, I'm the Bonfire Keeper and welcome to my channel. A difficult boss doesn't always automatically translate to a good boss fight, and Lies of P understands that perfectly. If a game has a boss that is too hard but doesn't seem fair, it feels unsatisfying even after you beat the boss. It feels like they are just ticking off boxes for creating a hard game and targeting the audience who are looking for a challenge without understanding what makes this type of game so much fun. And then there's also the point of lore. The boss needs to feel like it deserves to be hard. If some random foot soldier boss is as hard as the infamous knight who won the war by himself, it feels inconsistent. And what I played of Lies of P so far, they understand how to fit all these puzzles together and make a perfect boss. And so far I've just beaten the Puppet King, and in this video I wanted to talk about a few of these bosses that stood out to me by clicking this point. To talk about the Fallen Archbishop, we have to talk about the area before him first, the Path of Misery and the Saint Frangelico Cathedral, because they do a lot of heavy lifting leading up to him, creating a lot of anticipation and making it much more exciting. Fallen Archbishop is the first boss that is neither a puppet nor a human, and the game does very well by telling the player that what we have learned about this world so far is about to change. As we enter the Path of Misery the first time, we get introduced to a completely new different enemy type which are more akin to zombies. Their movesets are very different than both puppets and humans. They feel a lot snappier, and we get a quick look at the bishop as we make our way through to him, making him appear more sinister, building up that suspense until we finally face the Archbishop. If we were thrown directly in a boss fight that is absolutely different than any other boss we have faced before, it would feel jarring in a linear game like this. This is also the first boss with a proper second phase with a completely new health bar, and the game also considers the new players who are not used to the Souls game bosses by making the bishop in the second phase switch between his form in both first phase and second phase. Now this poses as both a challenge of getting used to the switching and being comfortable with it because we already know how to deal with his moves from phase 1. Story wise also Archbishop feels perfect with his almost angelical design, him being the final boss of this area that was once a place for people to pray and seek shelter, and now turned into this ground zero for a seemingly zombie apocalypse, feels right as to why he should be heard and introduce the mechanic of having a second phase in the game. This boss does two things very well. First, it tells us that we might thought we knew what was going on in the story, but we don't, and the game will surprise us with reveals like these to make an interesting narrative. And the second, we are now entering zones where the game will officially start getting more and more challenging with unpredictability added to it to make it more fun. Then we have the eldest of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood fight. Multi-boss in Souls game have been a thing for decades now. Every Souls game and Souls-like game has one, but multi-boss fights are always very hit or miss. Most of the times they are miss rather than being a hit. Either they would feel incredible or very unfair, and we can't talk about multi-bosses without talking about the most iconic duo boss in the Souls series, Ornstein and Smough. They are not the first duo boss in the series. They are not even the first duo boss in the game, but they are still the ones everyone talks about to these days, and everyone, even FromSoftware, still tries to capture this fight. Now I'm not saying Black Rabbit Brotherhood fight is similar to Ornstein and Smough, but they do something similar that makes them great. When you first meet Ornstein and Smough, it is such a spectacle. Them jumping from the balcony with such presence, and the game immediately lets you know that this fight is going to be super hard. And the same in this game, we keep hearing about this brotherhood until now, and how everyone is scared of them and how ruthless they are, and the cutscene delivers. Yes, it might seem edgier, but they still manage their description of them being this notorious gang everyone is afraid about. And as for the actual fight, the main rule of Multiboss is they should be challenging but not unfair. We should struggle because we have not figured out their correct pattern yet, and not because of it relies on RNG of when they are attacking and it screws us over by having a bad luck. And Ornstein and Smough did it very well, as if you could separate one of them from the other, you would have a much easier time managing them. They are obviously not perfect, but they still managed to create a good fight for its time. Another good example is the Demon Prince from Dark Souls 3. One of the princes will always stay afar and do range attacks while the other is in your face doing melee. They will switch up places to keep things interesting, and once you memorize their range pattern, the fight instantly clicks. An unfair fight is the Valiant Gargoyle duo from Elden Ring. These two felt like they don't sync, their attacks were all over the place, they were both on players' face constantly, and the fight was needlessly convoluted. But the eldest of the Brotherhood fight balances them pretty well. Firstly, the game encourages you to parry the eldest attacks and rewards you accordingly for doing so. And when the siblings starts to join in, Big Bro will always hang back as long as you keep the distance, except those occasional charges which are very easy to dodge. And the siblings, while they are very fast, they do very little damage to actually cause any major inconvenience, and encourage the player to maintain a faster combat with them, unlike the eldest, to get rid of them first. The rest of the three has very different attacks, so the fight never feels boring or repetitive, as every moment I am doing something new. Lies of P has understood what makes multibosses work and made a boss fight with perfect difficulty and mechanics. Yes, the fight was the hardest encounter yet, but it never felt unfair. And that brings us to the king of puppet, Romeo, the hardest boss in the game so far and truly deserving of the title king. I know this boss was nerfed, but since I have only played this version, I am going to talk about only this one. This fight was there to test the player, if we paid attention so far, to test how much we have learned and how much we have progressed since we started the game. This fight was on its own league, accompanied by a very creepy cutscene of P and Puppet Geppetto. The fast pace of the fight demands players' patience. His attacks are very well telegraphed, and his combos aren't super complicated either that is too hard to learn. But what makes this fight interesting is he does a lot of damage, so even missing one attack to perfect block or dodge can cause him losing half of my health. And because the second phase is so much harder, there's always that constant pressure in the back of my head to reach the second phase with as much pulse cells as possible, and that pressure causes to make stupid mistake in the first phase, like missing parries that I have already done right multiple times. This creates a psychological difficulty alongside the technical difficulty, one that player needs to overcome by remembering our journey so far and to be patient. If we don't keep our cool here, we won't reach the second phase or make the second phase even harder for ourselves. And then comes the second phase. It always the humanoid enemies that are the harder ones in Soul games, and it's no different here. Romeo is faster, hits harder than anyone else, and is the first boss with a really long combo that can be the run killer. While Romeo is a puppet, his combos are more similar to human enemies, and human enemies combos always follow a beat. If you manage to crack that beat, it becomes a lot easier to parry them. And it's the same with Romeo as well. If you manage to figure out his beat, the game rewards you for it, because then it becomes significantly easier to break his posture. As for the fireside flurry attack, that's the only one I couldn't figure out the parry timing right for, and felt it would be much easier that instead of wasting runs, dodge that one move and focus parrying everything else. And it worked. It felt like I got rewarded for learning how to deal with larger puppets with larger hitboxes up to now for the first phase, and faster, more agile and deadly human bosses for the second phase. That is why despite being really hard, this fight feels extremely satisfying to beat, because the difficulty here is not artificial, and beating him actually made me realize how much I have progressed since I started playing the game. The best thing about playing through Lies of P is it's giving me the fresh perspective of playing a Souls game for the first time. While Elden Ring is the true successor of the Souls series, Lies of P actually feels more closer to the original Souls game than Elden Ring does sometimes. And I think it comes from the understanding and the love the devs have for this genre. They made this game out of passion and not just to capitalize on the hype of Souls games. And it reflects directly on the game. With every step I am taking, every boss I am fighting, and every secret I am finding, I am falling more and more in love with this game and realizing I should have played this game a long time ago. But that will be it for me today. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more Souls and Souls-like content. Thank you, and I will see you next time.